What's up, guys? This video we're going to go over some of the basic components concerned with organic chemistry. And as you can see here, the most fundamental part of organic chemistry is hydrocarbons. And hydrocarbons is, as obvious as it sounds, it's just compounds consisting of only hydrogens and carbons bonded together. And so here are a couple examples of hydrocarbons. As you can see, the class of hydrocarbons doesn't discriminate against the orientation of the carbon bonds. So you have single bond between two carbons here, you have a double bond between two carbons here, and a triple bond between two carbons here. But they're still all hydrocarbons because they all have only hydrogens and carbons. So simple as that. And a good way to name these compounds is by means of parent names. And parent names are derived from the longest carbon chain. So right here we have two carbons, that happens to be the longest chain. Here we have three carbons, which is the longest chain, and here we have three carbons as well. So let's dive into that. If you have a two carbon chain, then you have the parent name of eth. If you have three carbons, you have prop. If you have four carbons, you have but. Now these can be looked at like the core words, so you have jump and you have jumping, the ing. So we're going to have a suffix attached to all these, which will further describe our compound. So right now this tells us we have a hydrocarbon with two carbons as the longest chain. Here we have three carbon chain, four carbon chain. So how do we find that suffix? Well, that spawns from the orientation of the carbon bonding. So if we have carbons consisting of only single bonds between the carbons, those are called alkanes. In alkanes, the ane is actually our suffix that we would attach to the parent name. So let's say we have a two carbon chain, single bond, so we know it's an alkane, and we have the two carbon chain, so we have two carbon chain, eth, and then we attach ane to it, so this would be called ethane. That's one example of alkanes. The general formula for alkanes would be CnH2n plus 2. So the N is designated to the amount of carbons, and then through that N we can calculate the amount of hydrogens. So in this example we have C2, two carbons, H, 2 times 2 plus 2, we have 6 hydrogens, and that can be verified through this diagram. So what about double bonds? If we have a double bond between two carbons, those are called alkenes. And just like alkanes, the ene portion serves as the suffix, which will be attached to our parent name. So sticking with the two carbon chain parent name eth, we'll do two carbons double bonded, like that. So we'd have F, and then we'd attach ene because there's double bonds there. And the general formula for alkenes, for the chemical formula, is CnH2n. So we have two carbons, C2, 2 times 2 is 4, C2H4. So if you're just looking at this on paper, you'd be able to see that it's an alkene just because it fits this formula. Now I have one more class of the basic hydrocarbons. Those are alkynes. Alkynes are hydrocarbons that have triple bonds between two carbons. So sticking with the parent name eth, we have a triple bond between two carbons. And like alkanes and alkenes, the "-ine" portion serves as our suffix in this instance. So the parent name is eth because of the two carbons, and then the suffix would be "-ine". So this compound is just called ethyne. Now, the general formula for alkynes is CnH2n minus 2. And that can be verified here. So those are all the basic components of hydrocarbons. But as you can see, there's a split in the road. There's different classes of hydrocarbons. So up top we have, what am I spelling? Hydrocarbons. And alkanes, alkenes, and alkynes are all under this group. But we go one of two ways. We have saturated hydrocarbons, and those are just simply alkanes. Saturated meaning there's only single bonds between the carbons. And then we have, you guessed it, unsaturated, and those encompass alkenes and alkynes. So those are really the basic building blocks concerned with organic chemistry. In future videos we'll come up with more complex hydrocarbons and we'll go about naming those. So we'll stop here and we'll see you next time.